Hey folks, James Brandon here. In this video, I'm going to go over a quick way to change your crop overlay in Lightroom. The standard crop overlay is the rule of thirds. We all know that there's a lot of rules in photography that you're supposed to follow, and the rule of thirds is one that most people have heard of at one time or another. There is another rule of composition that a lot of photographers don't know about, but it's much more common in the art, the painting world, and in architecture especially. And this rule is called the golden ratio, or Fibonacci's ratio. And it dates all the way back to ancient architecture, like in Greece and Rome, and it's really interesting. I actually wrote an entire article about this over at Digital Photography School, and I'll leave a link below this video to that article if you want to read more about it. So if we hit R for Romeo in Lightroom, we'll bring up a crop overlay, and this is our rule of thirds overlay. And you can see that the image is just split into thirds, both left and right and up and down. And this is fine. I mean, we're kind of splitting hairs here, the difference between these overlays, but it's good to just kind of pick one and go with it. And I've always just preferred the positioning of the golden ratio. So to change that, we're going to go up to Tools here and come down to Crop Guide Overlay, and then you have all these options here. So the golden spiral and the golden ratio are very similar. They're slightly different in their position, and the spiral just leads to one point in the image, like this. And if you go back and watch the video in that article that I wrote, you'll see why these are slightly different. But we're going to go to the golden ratio here. And you can see that it's very similar to the rule of thirds, except the lines are squeezed in a little bit, both left and right and up and down. And this ratio is found both in architecture in ancient Greece, ancient Rome, like I mentioned, but it's also found in nature a lot. And it's really kind of freaky how this pattern is so prevalent in nature and in the natural world. So that's it. If you set it to that, then we can just go out of the crop guide and go to a different image if we wanted to. And you can just kind of test it on all your images and see how you like it, see how it works. Here's an image from Badwater. We can pull up that same guide. And rather than putting the horizon on the line here, and it's really faint, I don't know if you can see it on video here because the background, or the foreground rather, is pretty much the same color as the grid. But instead of placing the horizon on that line, what I'm really looking for here is that this subject, or this plate pattern right here, is at least positioned at the intersection of those lines. And that's kind of how I use this overlay. So hope you learned something here. If you want to try it out, it's a really easy process. And let me know if you have any questions. All right.